a golf lover, join in on fun discussions about golf from the perspective of two plugged-in Minnesota golf geeks, Brad Cole and David Branstad. This is 10,000 Swings.
Hello and welcome back to 10,000 Swings. It is Sunday, September 12th, 2021. I'm Brad Cole.
I'm David Branstad.
10,000 Swings is brought to you by Jarrett Yalen with Northwestern Mutual. For whatever financial questions you have, call Jarrett at 612-209-4523 or check out his website at www.jarrettyalen.com. I heard that Jarrett was actually a top choice for Captain Stricker this week, but wasn't available because it's some key clients that he was helping instead. So, he wanted to be on the Ryder Cup team, but he turned it down. He had to help people plan their futures anyway, so pretty nice guy. Definitely taking one for the team, but he does say go USA. And give him a call today if you have any financial questions or just want to talk about Ryder Cup or Gopher football or Vikings vent line, you name it. Jarrett's there for you. So we've got a great show this week that might include the Ryder Cup rosters. So we officially have the rosters now of both teams. Pretty exciting to break down all 24 players. We had the BMW PGA Championship this week, which, if you look at the field that played over in Europe, it was a pretty darn strong field. Better than a lot of regular, PGA Tour events, for sure. And then we've got the first PGA Tour event of 2021-2022 starting next week already. And then we've got the Gopher Invitational wrapping up tomorrow. So a lot to get through. But the first thing we want to talk about is Ryder Cup rosters. Brandy, what do we got going?
Well, Brad, I'm disappointed. I'm sure you are too. We were left off of this roster again.
Oh, man.
This is how many years in a row?
37 for me, going on 38. Still waiting for that call.
Still waiting for this captain's pick, but you know what? They're on the smarter end of this than we are, and it was probably a good decision on their end. Here's my first thing, Brett. Let's assume you have the talent to make a Ryder Cup team. And I will get to this roster here, but let's assume that you've got the talent to make this team. How big of a deal to you is making the Ryder Cup team?
I think it's right up there with, I would say it's not important as winning a major, but I'd say it's as important as winning a tour event. Like if you look at someone's resume and you say, hey, either you could have won the, pick the Fortnite Classic or the Fortnite Championship, or you could win the Freudian slip there, Fortnite, excuse me. You could win the Fortnite Championship or the Barracuda Championship, or you could play a Ryder Cup. What do you think is a bigger one? Like, that's the question, right? Like, where does it rank for you? Because for me, it's the same as winning a regular tour event, which is crazy because there's obviously nowhere near the financial implications of winning a regular tour event, but it's that prestigious, right?
Well, so that's where I go. Like, obviously, I'm not playing at this level, but I would take a major championship over the Ryder Cup, hands down, any year. But there's only a handful of tour events that I think I'd rather win than the Ryder Cup, and truthfully, I don't even know if I could name them offhand other than the players. Like, what other event means more than the Ryder Cup? And Brad, I know you and I are on the same page with this. This is a huge team event. You play for your country. And if you look back, like, I can name more players that played in random Ryder Cups than I can who won the Barracuda or the Fortnite Championship, which it just should officially be renamed the Fortnite.
We'll get there. We'll get there down the road. We're not there yet, but we will definitely get to the Fortnite Championship. Freudian slips are sometimes the best slips. So let's talk a little bit about the course first. So we're playing the 2021 Ryder Cup, which it's interesting because a lot of the merch still is coming out with the 2020 logo on it because it was supposed to be 2020. So that's a highly debated thing. I bought this shirt in 2021, but it says 2020 because it technically was a 2020 event that happened in 2021. You go back and forth all over the internet whether it's the 2020 or the 2021, but this year's Ryder Cup is being played at Whistling Straits. So for those of you that are in Minneapolis right now, you get on 94, you head, let's call it 5 hours or so east, and then you go an hour and a half or so north. If you really cruise, you can probably get to the course in about 6 hours. If you take a detour at the Avery Salvage Yard or to any cheese or firework or a type of stop or any sign that says beer, brats, cheese, fireworks, or New Glarus. Maybe you go to New Glarus, have a few pints, a spotted cow. I mean, this could be a 10-hour drive to get to Sheboygan. It could be maybe 6 if you press it. But nonetheless, it's one of the most beautiful parts of the country because you literally feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. And if you drive too far, you feel like you're basically on the ocean. I mean, Lake Michigan is so clean in the Sheboygan area. Doesn't exactly look the same way in Milwaukee or in Chicago, but when you're in Sheboygan, Lake Michigan is so crystal clear, so beautiful. And this golf course is just incredible. It is fantastic. I think it's important for people to know, too. They have 2 golf courses on site. There's the Irish and the Straits. And then also, adjacent to it, you have Black Wolf Run, and they're 36 holes as well. And Herb Kohler has built quite the complex here. Obviously, we all have to have sinks and toilets in our houses. And, Herb has been able to take that money and roll it into a little golfer's paradise. Brandy, have you been to Whistling yourself?
I have not. I've been to the area. It's absolutely amazing, which is why I'm shocked that the conversation of Stephen Avery just came up in the same sentence as the Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits. I get it. I've driven by it many times. But Brad, kudos to you on that one.
Our proud sponsor, Jarrett Yalen, and I once were going to the 2017 U.S. Open at Erin Hills, and we obviously had to take a pit stop at Ho Chunk Casino. And when we were at Ho Chunk, we literally had a dealer that we thought was Stephen Avery, and it was a very, very uncomfortable situation because we figured at this point if he wasn't in jail, he's probably out on some sort of witness protection situation. So, the fact that his name wasn't Steve on his name tag made sense because they're going to try to protect him. But we still jokingly call him that dealer. We call him Steve Avery.
So I haven't watched Making a Murderer 2. Is he's still in jail, right?
I believe so. I haven't watched 2 either, but I believe so. For years I had a group of friends that we all joked about, like 2020 Ryder Cup. We're going to Wisconsin. We're going to Manitowoc. We're gonna check out the salvage yard. We're gonna do our own. We're gonna be CSI, right? Like I'll be Horatio. We're just gonna get this thing. We're gonna figure this thing out. And then the pandemic hit, and then they didn't have it last year, and then everyone just kind of fizzled. And so, Whistling Straits, awesome property, very well known for the Dustin Johnson debacle in the PGA. It's very interesting on how they'll play that this week. I believe they did modify it a little bit after that whole scenario, but the golf course is.
Do you think he'll read his hard card this week?
I mean,
do you think for the Ryder Cup he's actually going to read the hard card of what the rule is for grounding your club in a bunker?
Yeah, I mean it's a great question, right? Is he ever going to read the rules? Is a question. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully Austin's all over it for him, but I'm just wishing good vibes for the Johnsons because they are representing America, and I hope that it goes smooth. I hope that we don't have any.
Or did he read the card and actually didn't understand it?
Anything's possible at this point. So the golf course itself, I don't know if you remember, the first time they had a major there, they literally had people left and right with broken ankles, sprained ankles. I mean, you've got so much fescue on this course. When it gets matted down, it just gets gnarly. And it really, to me, it'll be interesting to see how it goes for spectators. Because when you tell me I could have the option of either rolling an ankle or sitting on my couch, I really don't have to think real long. But that's just kind of my jam. I'm not necessarily the guy that's going to risk rolling an ankle at any time. Hence why I don't run. It's just a little safer that way for me to not run. So I just choose to not participate in those activities. But the golf course has got...
Do you take a golf cart every time you play?
Only walk. I only walk.
Okay.
But
all right.
Yeah, I only walk.
So then you are a risk taker.
I take my chances. I think Rum River Hills at highest elevation hits about 400 feet above water. So above sea level at 400 feet is the peak elevation. Maybe 385. It might not get to a full 400, but
Right.
yeah, it's pretty swampy. So we're doing okay there. Not a lot of risk, but I look at this course and I think that it should be a good golf course for the U.S., but I don't know. So you break it down. So let's break down the squad. So we've got Steve Stricker leading the way, Wisconsin's finest. We got Phil Mickelson and Fred Couples as vice captains. You gotta love those choices, right? Like that's a good crew of guys to lead the way. Great experience. And then your automatic qualifiers are Colin Morikawa, Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay. And then your captain's picks are Daniel Berger, Harris English, Tony Finau, Xander Schauffele, Scotty Scheffler, and Jordan Spieth. What are your thoughts? Because right out of the gate, I say the only guy that I'm afraid of playing against right now is Patrick Cantlay. Like, he is playing out of this world. And what's interesting in golf is that it's so week to week. You gotta remember, like, Patrick Cantlay is on a heater. He's going to be off for 2 to 3 weeks essentially before from his last round of competition until he plays a match. He might not be able to break 80.
What's funny is I love the captain's picks. I love all of that. It's the automatic qualifiers that I'm not convinced are as good, especially if you can compare that to the Euros team. I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week. Maybe it was the week before. Like, I'm not convinced our team even gets along. And so where does that go as far as talent's concerned? Like, at what point, I don't know the answer to this. I have my assumptions. But I think at some point, the relationship you have with your teammates does overcome some talent pitfalls, or not pitfalls, but overcomes the talent that you have. And I just don't see these guys getting along. Like, where do you put them in foursomes and whatnot? And I'll tell you what, Stricker's got his hands full with picking these pairings and who to put together. And I mean, Brad, do you have any thoughts on where you think he's going to go with this?
I mean, do you just go all in the first day and say, here's my deal.
Don't even.
I'm putting Brooks and Bryson together,
Right.
and I'm just going to go sit in the clubhouse and see what happens. I'm going to wait for the explosion. I mean, but there's all sorts of bad blood across the board. I mean, I don't know any guy on the team that wants to play with Bryson. So do you sit Bryson out for partnership? I mean, I don't know.
For the whole week?
Just play him in singles on Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird. You got to think that almost everyone wants to play with Spieth, right? Like, I don't know anyone on the team that wouldn't want to partner with Jordan.
100%.
And again, like, Jordan can get a little whiny, a little yippy, whatever. But the guy wants to win. He's so scrappy. He's such a great putter. Like, and give me Scotty Scheffler. I agree with you. These captain's picks, like, give me Scotty Scheffler. All 6 of the captain's picks, I think, get along with everyone, right?
They're fantastic. They're easy going. You know what? And Spieth, for whatever reason, is going to find 3 days, and he's going to find the fairway for the first 3 days of his entire year. He just figures it out.
He does. I don't know. I mean, I think, like, anyone would want to play with Tony Finau. Harris English is pretty chill. Daniel Berger's pretty chill. And, you look at, I mean, I don't know. You could make a case where all these guys could be pretty cool, except for, I mean, it seems like Bryson is going to just, I don't know. I hope that he doesn't create a huge rift within the team. I just don't see him ever being a team guy. Have you ever thought of Bryson as just being like the ultimate, like, hey guys, let's go get him? I just don't see it. But then I saw a video show up the other day on Instagram of him, like, giving a buddy a high five and stuff that was ripping drivers like 400 yards at Top Golf. So maybe he's got this other side in him, where if they're not competing against each other, maybe he's cool. I'm really hoping he can be that teammate. And as we look at the U.S. and who's on the squad, so now we look at who's been left off. Patrick Reed. And you have to think that Patrick Reed, the number one reason was the pneumonia, right? Like, it has to be virtually impossible for him to walk, 18 or 36 a day after just coming out of pneumonia. I am assuming that's the reason. Kevin Na's been playing.
I would assume with that, I mean, how do you have the stamina? How do you have the breath to put in as intensive as that guy gets when it comes to the Ryder Cup? I don't know how you can give it what he can give it. So,
yeah.
And you and I can have our own Patrick Reed opinions, but it's almost a disappointment that he's not gonna be there.
Yeah, I just don't think Patrick Reed could be Patrick Reed, and that's the reason why, right?
100%.
Yeah, I think it's that's 100% where that's coming from. Now, Kevin Na, he's been playing so well. I know he doesn't hit it that far, but Kevin Na would be like the perfect addition to this team, don't you think? Like a guy with a little bit of fire. He's a KG vet. I know he's new to the Ryder. I don't think he's playing a Ryder Cup team, but like he fast walks it into the hole. He get the Euros, a little fired up. I don't know. Don't you think Kevin Na would have been a nice addition?
So here's where I'm going to go with that. I think there's two ways on Kevin Na. Like, number one, I can't imagine playing golf with him. I would probably be annoyed at some point with the mannerisms that he has on the golf course. So number one, in match play and Ryder Cup, I think that bodes well for you. Number two, and I don't know what distance they're playing this golf course at. I really don't. But just from what I've seen in the past, this is accuracy. You need to hit this thing down the middle the entire time. You need to hit your greens and just give yourself birdie opportunities. I don't think it plays an emphasis or a very big favor for some of these longer hitters. I mean, great, what's 330 off the tee if you're in a wayside bunker? Now, maybe I'm underrating the talent of some of these players, which I probably am, but I don't know. I kind of like the guys that just hit it straight.
Yeah, and as you look at the rest of the list of guys that just got left out, you got Will Zalatoris, Webb Simpson, Sam Burns, been really hot, Jason Kokrak, Billy Horschel, very, very hot right now, Kevin Kisner, extremely hot. So it's tough to see some of those guys get left off. But again, the only people we're comparing them to would be Daniel Berger, Harris English, Tony Finau, Xander Schauffele, Scotty Scheffler, and Jordan Spieth. And I think he did pretty well. I think Stricker did the right thing. I think he got the right guys. Now, if I could sub out, based on how they're currently playing, maybe sub out DJ, for sure Morikawa, maybe Brooks. Like, all those guys haven't been playing that great. Bryson, JT, and Cantlay have been playing better. But, and that's the next question, right? Should they change the qualifications and just say, you know what? This is over the last 2 months. What if you did that? Instead of 2 years or 3 years of qualifying, what if you did 2 months? You literally got who are the hot, or 4 months, right? Like, let's go from April to now, from Augusta till now, and instead of this whole 2-year thing, like, let's get literally, because there's a lot of guys that got a lot of points for things they haven't done in the last 15 months.
Well, okay, so that's going to bring up a bigger discussion then, and that goes into how the European team does this versus how the Americans do this. And it goes back to the stuff Andy North said years ago. Like, so the European Tour, first of all, they own the Ryder Cup, and they will pair players early in the year based on what they think they're going to play like in the Ryder Cup. So they're already thinking Ryder Cup in the normal European Tour season. We're not thinking anything like that. We've got a bunch of individuals out there, not that they're all this way, but we have a bunch of individuals out there playing golf to win an S-load of money, like, right? That's what the Americans do. And it came up, and I don't know, Brad, enlighten me if you know this. It was brought up back in the day, and I want to say it was even Billy Horschel. Like, someone was, like, super hot. Like, he won 3 out of, like, the 4 playoff events or something like that and didn't make the Ryder Cup team. And everyone's looking at the captains like, what are we doing here? This is based on 2 years. You got someone that just won 3 of the last 4 events, and he's not playing in the Ryder Cup? Like what the hell?
Said, notice all the guys I just said, whether it's Sam Burns, Kevin Kisner, these guys are all red hot right now, and they're playing. And when's the last time Brooks was in contention in a tournament? When's the last time that...
Correct.
You want the hottest guys right now, because the reality is it only lasts for so long. And so as we change it over to the European team and look at where they're at, I look at this European squad and I say, there is no way America is going to win. And
there's no chance. There's absolutely no chance.
Listen to this squad. John Rahm, by far and away, by far and away the best player in golf right now. It's not a competition. It's not even close how much better Jon Rahm is than everyone. And you have Rory, you have Lee Westwood, you have Paul Casey, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood, Tyrrell Hatton, Victor Hovland, Bernd Wiesberger, and then your captain's picks. Oh, let's just throw out Sergio Garcia, Ian Poulter, and Shane Lowry. Like, are you kidding me? There's no way.
Done. Over.
For those of you who are gamblers, if the line is safer than Europe minus 300, go all in on the Euros. This is an easy win. There's no way America's going to play with these guys. And the number one thing that you said, Brandy, over and over and over again is there is a team of 12, and then there are 12 individuals. That's how the Ryder Cup is. That is Europe versus America. I wish our guys could become best friends and buddies. They just don't do it.
But would you argue this then? Because this is just my opinion, and we'll get to some NFL football here in a little bit because it's a great weekend this weekend. Is there too much money on the line individually during our PGA Tour season for them to care about stuff like this?
I think that's fair.
I think there is.
I think that's fair, and I think that, if you look at how these players rank, guess how many players are in the top 12 in the world on the European team?
Top 12 in the world?
Yep.
I'm going to go with 8.
1. The answer
really?
is
That's it?
1. Jon Rahm, number one player in the world.
Yeah, because I got to take out all of the captain's picks because none of them are on there. And they got another... Yeah.
Guess how many Americans are in the top 12 in the world?
Too many.
9. There's
Look
1 and 9, and then
off.
the other 2 players in the top 12 are Louis Oosthuizen and Abe Answer. So they can't play in this event.
Look who's left off of the European roster too.
Yeah. But again, it's not about world rankings. It's not about FedEx Cup. It's not about earnings. It's about how well can you play match play? How well can you be a teammate? How well can you gel with your guys? And it's what Europe does. So, man, I wish
Sergio and Poulter, really? Those are genius picks.
Those guys are going to be on the team as long as they have a pulse. Let's call it what it is, right? You're not going to turn down Ian Poulter as long as he's in the top 200 in the world because it's Ian Poulter and it's the Ryder Cup. It's just... By the way, Ian Poulter may or may not... There's been some rumors that he may or may not be using a ripstick from our good friends at Rip Golf. So watch out for him hitting bombs at Whistling Straits. There's some rumors. I don't know if it's confirmed, but he may or may not have one in the bag. So that being said, you look at this team, the Americans, and you just say, man, on paper, we should destroy these guys. And you just reference football. And I think what you're trying to say is that the Vikings, who put up a whole bunch of yards and do a whole bunch of good things, should win games. But when you have a quarterback that gets a lot of stats and doesn't necessarily get wins, it's the same thing as what the Americans do, right? We have great stats, but we're not going to win a Ryder Cup with these guys because they're not together. They're not in it. They'll do okay in the singles probably, but they're just not the true team players that you need to be able to win this format.
What was the final stat on how many penalties the Vikings had today? Was that a new franchise record?
I think it was 19.
So that's a new franchise record for accepted penalties. I mean, yes, I agree. It's this is where I go back. I think the Americans there, yes, we've got individuals that are absolutely awesome. And you know what? You can put a bunch of individuals on a team and you can probably be pretty good. Or you can take Tom Brady and you can go put him somewhere and you can build a team around him and not be an egomaniac and you can go win Super Bowls. You can go win Ryder Cups. You can go do things like sports, and this is not just golf, it's sports in general has gotten, and we'll see where this all goes with now NIL and PIP and all this where this all goes. but sports in general has just gotten kind of out of whack, and I don't know where I land and fall on it because it's too individualized even in team sports for the most part. That's just my opinion.
Branny, if you're back in 5th grade, you're drafting, you're at the playground, you're drafting a kickball team, okay? And you have an option to pick your Ian Poulter of kickball, or you have your option to pick your Kirk Cousins of football. Ian Poulter is going to cost you 1 pick. Let's call it 1 or 2 picks, and Kirk Cousins is going to cost you 35.8 picks. Which one are you taking?
Are you kidding me? It's not even a question. I'm
Exactly.
We used to do a Ryder Cup at a former club I was at, and I was part of the captains, and we'd actually have a draft night, and it was awesome. And Brent, if you're listening, you'll remember this. But we would pick based on who wanted to win. It was not who was like, hey, this is my handicap and this is where I'm at. It's like, no, I want to win. And I want to go out there and beat people, and this is what I want to do. And that's what the Europeans do, is they take winners. And I'm trying not to knock Americans too much on this, but I'm sorry, our Ryder Cup record warrants it. They pick people that want to win, and there's a winning mentality that not everyone has, even as a great athlete or even as a great golfer. Like, you can be a great golfer, but if you don't have that mentality that I'm going to go out and kick your butt and I'm going to go beat you by as much as you can, you know what? Sometimes that the better player doesn't win. And that's what the Euros are doing.
Yeah, I'll make it very clear. There is one golf club company right now that's out there, and they say, nobody makes clubs the way we do, period, and they want to win. So it's a good time to remind our listeners that our show is brought to you by PXG, Parsons Extreme Golf. They've got their new store in Southdale. Awesome new facility. Go check it out today. Get fit. They've been extremely busy, but they've been able to fill orders. They've got product. They've got Gen 4, Gen 3, Gen 2, Gen 1 products, irons, fairways, hybrids, everything. You name it. But nobody makes clubs the way they do, so go check them out. And they have that mentality of, hey, we're here to win. We want to beat everyone. And, that to me is something refreshing, that whatever we have to do to win. So that's 10,000 Swings brought to you by PXG. But again, kind of sounds like the Europeans. And I'll be very honest. Go ahead.
Let me throw a super random question. How does the Ryder Cup team look at if Bob Parsons is the captain of the team? Where does he go with picks? Take PXG loyalty out of this. Where does he go with the attitude of, I want to go kick everyone's ass, I don't care what it's going to take, and this is what I'm going to do? Because that's basically what he's doing with his company.
Bacardi and Cola, do it. Do it. That's do it. I'm telling you this, if Bob Parsons is the team captain for the USA, he's ripping all the rules out of the book, and he's going to say, you know what, here's what you're doing. Starting April 1st, you get points. April 1st of a Ryder Cup year is when you get points. And we're going to run this baby right up till the week before the Ryder Cup. Sunday night of the Ryder Cup is when I'm making my final pick. And I will tell you that he would have grabbed, after Billy Horschel's performance today at the BMW PGA, he'd have said, yep, you're my guy, you're in. That is what he's going to do. He's not going to say, hey, what'd you do for me the last 24 months? He's going to say, what are you doing for me now? Because that's how you win. And that's, if you look at how Europe does their qualifying and how they do their picks, they just wait till later. Lee Westwood just automatically qualified today with his performance. And again, we're only a week away. So I give them a lot of credit for how they do it. I don't agree with the American process, but on paper, the American team does look good. I just feel like no matter what, Europe's going to win. And that's where I think Parsons would definitely look at this a total different way. He'd rip it apart because he's not afraid to do that. Like, he wants to do everything his own way. And I give him a lot of credit for that because it takes some cojones to make that decision. So as we transition...
But they do it. The Europeans do it a better way. They just do. Their process is better than what the Americans do to pick their teams, and that's what pisses me off for so long now. Is why do we keep watching someone else be better than us at everything, and we don't take notes about what they're doing? Like,
Brandy, are you
what-
talking? Are you still talking about the Vikings and the Patriots, or are you Vikings and the Bucks, or pick any NFL team that spends all their money on the
Right.
line? Like, we spend money on a mediocre quarterback, and again, Kirk's got good numbers, but he doesn't win games. And you can find ways to win games and win Super Bowls with a really good line. If you look at the Bucks last year, yeah, they had Tom Brady, but he was taking almost half of what Kirk Cousins was taking, and he let the money be spent on all of the line, offensive and defensive. And once you get the best players like that to take less money, other guys will come in for $1 million, $2 million, etc. And it seems like Europe gets that when it comes to the Ryder Cup. They get that same mentality of, we need that scrappy guy that's going to go win. And when you start throwing in your 11th and 12th guys are Sergio Garcia and Ian Poulter, my goodness, like, it just makes me cringe, because their 11 and 12 guys are better at the Ryder Cup than our 1, 2, and 3 guys. Like, it's
But that's what winning teams do.
make sacrifices, right?
They make sacrifices and they spread the wealth. I mean, for crying out loud, I mean, the Patriots had to release Gronk just to go play at Tampa Bay because he wanted to go play for Brady. I mean, I don't know what you've seen lately, but you got Anton Winfield Jr., Tyler Johnson, Minnesota Gopher alums here playing down there and talking about what Brady's already meant to them in 2 years and how he's mentored them. And it's stupid what winning organizations do that other players in other organizations don't pick up on. And it blows my mind when it comes to that. But Brad, I got a quick question for you, because I know you're a sports minded guy and I know you like your bets. All right, you got opening weekend here, NFL football, right?
Okay.
What is your go-to when it comes to football? Is it Thursday night football? Is it Sunday prime time? Is it Sunday night football? Is it Monday night football? Where is your attention going on a weekend like this?
Well, my attention is to watch all of the games for 2 to 3 weeks and then decide whether or not it's worthy of a wager. Because if you're gambling this week, you might as well just go set that money on fire in your backyard, because it is such a gong show. And since, with the introduction of COVID and everything that's happened in the last 2 years now with COVID for football, it is so impossible to figure out what's going to happen. And you think about it, any given team at any given time could have an entire crew out. Their whole offense could be out. There could be, depending on close contacts, non-vaccinations, all those different things. So in my personal opinion, I watch all the games. I giggle. I want to know the line. I want to know the over and the under. For example, that Vikings game today, you know what that over-under was?
I do not actually.
48. Do you know what it looked like the score was going to be till the last 2 minutes? 48. It looked like a dead tie and a dead push. And then all of a sudden, Delvin Cook said, "Oh, well, here's a little Crisco. I'll let the ball go." And it could have definitely been that he was down. I've been involved in several group texts where there's a lot of anger about whether he was down or not down. It just very frustrating that they couldn't get the win. But Vegas is so good, and my suggestion for most of those people that are looking at making a bet would probably be to go Team Europe rather than any kind of football the first couple weeks, because it's a gong show. And
isn't it amazing how good Vegas is when it comes to NFL football? I'll even go to college to an extent. They'll take the top teams, and they are so good at their point spreads and their over-unders. And then you just got to find a sleeper like Houston 4 or 5 years ago and ride them for an entire season and go. But, like, Vegas is really, really good at NFL. They're really, really good at top college programs. I don't know what is the Ryder Cup right now. Do we even know?
I don't think it's officially up, because the teams just got set. So I think we'll probably have it available next week, I would assume. But
then they'll take it down once Rom gets COVID right before the event starts.
Well, yeah. By the way, my Europe bet is based on John Rahm being healthy, so or being able to play. So, a very good tune-up for this event, and this is a lot of guys the last time they're going to play. Several guys a lot of guys will actually probably just take a couple weeks off, but plenty of players are playing this week or played this past week at the BMW PGA Championship. This is a big event at Wentworth in England, and Kiradech Aphibarnrat, we talked about him last week. He just lost out on the Korn Ferry Tour Finals, and he had this thing. He's really sailing. And then yesterday he shoots a 74. Today he comes back and he is just going deep. And he was 8 under early, and then he actually made a bunch of pars. And then he on the last 2 holes, both par 5s, he made a bogey and a par. And Billy Horschel made a birdie and a par. So he loses by 1 to Billy Horschel. Kind of a disappointing finish for the Barn Rat. But if you look at a lot of these names up there, it's a lot of guys that really strong field. I mean, the top 10 or top 20, you've got Tommy Fleetwood, Adam Scott, Thomas Peters, Justin Rose. Very, very strong field, but a nice little tune-up for the guys. Shane Lowry. Nice tune-up for the big event right around the corner. And it seems to me, I don't know, I look at how good the Euros are playing here, and I would say that all the advantages go to Europe because I just think they're going to be more prepared. They're more team-driven. And, I don't know, that event's always kind of an interesting one to me because it seems like it has a decent amount of good players, and you usually don't have that many good players playing events in September. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's not a lot of stud fields, and there was quite a few good options there this week over in England.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at this leaderboard really quick, and I'm like, I'll be truthful, I did not watch a ton of this. I'm already at 4 players all on the Ryder Cup team that played very well in this event. And so now you've got a bunch of team players that have already played well going into the event. What more can you ask for?
You talking about Europeans?
Yeah.
Yeah, and no Americans. So
not one. I can't find one right now.
Yeah, and I have to assume that going into next week at Silverado, there's not any Americans playing either. So it's a good time to remind our listeners that if you'd like to not be frustrated about the Europe or the U.S. Ryder Cup team, and you want to just kind of enjoy your night, not listen to our negativity, it'd be a great time to acknowledge that our show is brought to you by Corona Premier. So it's the very refreshing light beer from Corona, 90 calories, 2.6 carbs, and again, beautiful, light, very smooth, doesn't need a lime. Best served ice cold, but the Corona Premier, very, very nice light option. And again, if you're commiserating about the Ryder Cup already 2 weeks before, have a Corona Premier and just put your feet up. We haven't lost yet, so as negative as David and I are being, or realist as we're being, it's still, the score is still 0-0. And have a nice Corona Premier, and hopefully pull this thing off. So that's another wonderful sponsor of our show. And as we get into the rest of the what's happening in September, the PGA Tour season for 2021-2022 starts next week. Man, what an off season, huh, Brandy?
This is still really weird to me. Like, I'm still used to like the silly season. You get a couple months, and it's like, all right, I get to relax, and I don't have to. Now it's just like, whoa, boom. Hey, we're not just back into golf. We're back into FedEx Cup. We're back into everything. I mean, how many? I know they lowered the amount of events, I believe, for the next year, but isn't it still like 40 some?
It's intense.
Official events. Like, this is ridiculous.
It's intense, and it's man, it is just it's going. Like, it's already ready to go. So we start next week at the Fortinet Championship, and immediately I didn't know what Fortinet was. And I was at Silverado, so we'll just call it Silverado in Napa. Great facility, but it's Fortinet, and I immediately went to Google and then Wikipedia, and immediately it said, "Did you mean Fortnite?" People that search for this are looking for Fortnite. So we've had this conversation on the show before, like, what are the best names of sponsors for the different tour events? And I think this has to be right there, like Fortinet. It's apparently a cybersecurity IT company. But
okay, so Brad, let me ask you this then. So, somewhat realistic, somewhat joking question though. How far away are we from like a Fortnite Invitational? Like, Fortnite's raking in right now $17.99 or something. Listeners will probably know better than I would about this. A month for user subscriptions to have this, to have this. Where are we at from having something like that obscure? Now, obscure not necessarily in mainstream media, but that obscure when it comes to golf, take over a sponsorship? Do we see this at some point in our lifetime?
Oh, for sure. I
Like,
mean,
do we have the Call of Duty Championship?
yeah, for
Why
sure.
not? So whoever puts up money.
I think it's all revenue based. And I think that's, if you have the money to pay the bill, I don't think anyone's going to turn you down. I mean, I don't know. It's going to, I don't know how, I know they're going to obviously filter it out a little bit. I'm trying to use the correct words here. But, they're not going to just have anyone sponsor. But, is there a possibility that there could be the Prestige Worldwide Championship at some point? Yeah. Investors, possibly you. It could happen. Like, I could totally see it because money talks, and if people don't know, like, Fortnite's fairly obscure. Like, it's not, there's no bad connotation, and now Fortnite's going to be said so many times, like, it's marketing for them. I'm sure they're doing well. Cybersecurity companies seem to be doing quite well these days. So it's
okay. Let me take that one question farther. Then again, I'm going completely a different direction here. But do you think any part of the PJ Tour's PIP money, because no one's going to play, the top guys are not going to play in the Fortnite Championship or the Call of Duty Championship. Their likeliness just doesn't work for that. Is there any part, and that's their way of staggering and preventing something like that from happening? I know I'm going off the deep end on that, but
could be.
I mean, I think everything's on the table right now in the sports world. You got Gable who just signed with the WWE, and I don't know.
By the way, if I was ever going to start watching the WWE again, Gable Steveson was.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, I was really into it back in the day with Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and Mick Foley, probably ninth grade, somewhere right in that wheelhouse. But I started watching a little here and there just because of Brock Lesnar. Because he's a Gopher, right?
100%. 100% I did. This would be my avenue back into watching that. And it'd be my avenue to get my wife will hate it, but it'd be my avenue to get my kids into watching this again. Mm-hmm. Like, wrestling is cool.
Wrestling's fun. I mean, it's a whole different experience. It's a different world, right?
Completely different.
Yeah, no, this thing can go so many different directions. It's going to be really entertaining. And so we go Fortnite, then we go Ryder Cup, and then we've got the Sanderson Farms Championship, then we've got the Shriners in Vegas, the CJ Cup in Vegas. We've got the Zozo in China. And then we go into the World Golf Championships in China, the Bermuda Championship. I mean, we've got week after week after week, and that's just into November. And then you've got the Mayakoba, the Houston Open, the RSM, and it kind of goes quiet, over Thanksgiving and into December. So essentially, you're playing until the end of November, or darn near the end of November, and then we got Century Tournament of Champions right after the New Year. So it's basically like a 5-6 week break now. It seems so intense, and it seems like it's so much. But I love that they're giving all these guys opportunities. I love that they have all these sponsors and all these courses. Like, every month of the year, for the most part, with the exception of December's got something to entertain you. And hopefully in December we have the parent-child or the father-child again, and maybe Tiger makes an appearance again, huh? Maybe that's the first step back. What do you think?
Boy,
I haven't seen you smile that much since the Gophers were beating Ohio State.
Yeah. And I'll lose my voice again for that golf tournament if that happens. Yeah, Brad, you can't go there. That's too early. I'm not ready for that.
Too soon?
Too soon.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Holy crap, would that be awesome? How cool would it be to have his return be I go win a golf tournament with my son? And that you still at that point even can't proclaim that he's back.
Right,
it'd be a really cool thing.
But think about it. At that point, it's been almost 10 months of recovery. It's
Yeah.
The timeline, I mean, again, we still don't have any full updates on like what he's doing every day. It's been very quiet from the Tiger camp, and you know, I don't know. We're just, I mean, oh man, could you just imagine how great that'd be if that's his return? I mean, every TV is locked in. So
Dude,
I shouldn't even talk like that.
First of all, for screw you, because I wasn't even in this campaign of like, all right, Tiger's not even coming back anytime soon, and now you just got goosebumps on me for like, well, wait a second. I don't care if it's the father-son event if he wins it. I'm all in.
You know, I'm over here starting rumors. I feel terrible. I'm just creating buzz. I'll never forget, there was a buddy of mine in high school. His name was Michael Jensen, and he would he knew I was a talker, and he would kind of mess with me sometimes. And he goes, he tells this, starts this rumor that there's going to be a Hooters coming into Coon Rapids. And we're like, oh man, you know, high school kids, you know, Hooters, oh man, this is awesome. And he tells me that, and then, you know, I obviously forget that he tells me, and I tell a bunch of different people, and then, you know, probably like 3 or 4 months later, I go, hey Michael, did you hear that there's going to be a Hooters going into Coon Rapids? And he's like, dude, I'm the one that started that rumor with you 4 months ago. And he goes, loose lips sink ships, okay, bro? Like, come on. But he knew that if he threw the bug in my ear, so I'm throwing the bug in your ear, Brandy. It maybe could happen. The timeline's realistic.
But Brad, now I also have to explain to my 6 and 10-year-old boys, almost 7 and 11, what Hooters is.
Good quality chicken wings.
Okay, so
you know,
yeah, I'm gonna hand them your
good
phone
buffalo,
number.
good buffalo shrimp.
Yep. You can take them there for the first time.
Sounds like a birthday party. Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna go over well with Jen. No, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but I'm just throwing it out there. It's a possibility. It's a possibility, and it's special. And speaking of possibilities, we have the Gopher Invite this week. So we just completed day 1 of the Gopher Invite. We now, with our local statistician, Jeff Kaiser, just let us know there's actually 30 players that are now playing the PGA Tour from the event. He'd missed Mackenzie Hughes. So pretty impressive. 30 guys have played in that event and played on tour. And it's 2 events. So you've got the Gopher Invite at Windsong, 36 today. I believe it's 18 tomorrow. And then you've got 54 holes for the Minnesota Golf Classic, which is just for the Division III programs. And that's being played across the street at Pioneer Creek. So in that Minnesota Golf Classic, we finished it up. The event is over, I believe. I don't think they're playing it all tomorrow. They've got 54 holes are in. And St. John's went out and shot 7 over for 54 holes. 4 guys around. Like, how good is that for Division III golf? And the crazier part is St. John's B team lost to Gustavus by 1. Otherwise, they would have been second place. How about that? So your first team shoots 7 over for 3 rounds. Your second team shoots 22 over and loses to Gustavus, who was at 21 over. How impressive, like, you know, so St. John's fired 293, 291, 287, and then the B team 300, 292, 294. Quite impressive golf at Pioneer Creek. Brandon, have you played Pioneer Creek?
I have, and I'm looking this up. I'm gonna give a shout out to my boy Max Thielen. Good playing this week, dude. Plays for St. John's. Nice scoring. First of all, I have played Pioneer Creek. Good golf course. Obviously, kind of, I'm not going to call it a sister course to Windsong, but obviously across the street. But I think it's really cool that they have this event for these lower tier schools to kind of showcase their players. That's absolutely awesome.
No, I think it's
the Gopher Invite. Like, I mean, Kaiser, you might as well call him in right now to speak more than you and I can on this. Like, what they've produced as far as players is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's impressive. And one thing I really liked about this is there are also a ton of individuals playing as well. So if you actually look at the individual results from this, you know, nobody that was part of the team scores we talked about, those guys basically started at 10th place and went further down. The top 10 guys were all individuals from other squads that, you know, squad brings 5 guys for varsity and then 1 or 2 for JV or for individual, right? So for example, like Iowa State brought 2 individuals. One of them shot 6 under, one of them shot 5 under. Notre Dame brought 2 individuals, 400, 400. And I take it back. There's some other guys from Notre Dame as well, like another one shot 200, another one shot even. So, and Iowa State had a kid shoot +6. So they kind of, they kind of filter in. But for the most part, all of the individuals were right there at the top. But how cool is that if you're a D3 player and you're playing up against, a 6-man or 7-man from a D1 program, and you go head-to-head with them, right? Like Schugel from St. John's, he beat a bunch of D1 players, a couple guys from Kansas, a couple guys from Notre Dame, Marquette, Virginia. Just such a cool experience for these kids to be going through at the D3 level to play at that, to kind of see what else is out there. Chris Van Dett from Kent State shot 14 under for 3 rounds to win by 3 in the Minnesota Golf Classic. So again, that was the D3 teams and then the individuals. So very impressive scoring there. And then if you look at the actual Gopher Invitational, the D1 programs, first place is Kansas. So right now they've played 36 holes today. Kansas at Winsong Farm, 11 under. So they shot 280 and 277. Par's 288. Like, just nuts, right?
I mean, Brad, you've played there. That's a hard golf course. And I'm sure they've got it about as fast as they can, because my guess would be they're aerifying here pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And they've got that place rolling firm.
And I apologize.
Damn,
too.
that's some good golf.
They are playing par 71. My apologies
Yeah.
there. So par 71. And so Kansas is 11 under. Michigan State 7. Notre Dame 5. I mean, again, Notre Dame's individuals and Kansas individuals were in Kent State. All these teams were, great as well. In 6th place, you have the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So they go 293, 282 in the afternoon round today. Some pretty impressive stuff from the hometown crowd. So they are currently 18 shots behind. So maybe they throw a little 270 on them tomorrow and maybe sneak up to the top. But nice to see.
Let's go, boys.
The Gophers had a rough start at Marquette last week. So really nice to see them, beating up on teams that they lost to last week. They're right there with, they're ahead of Iowa State, Miami, Marquette, Arkansas State, Rutgers, Georgia Southern, Furman, Iowa. So it's nice to see them. Hopefully they keep moving in the right direction tomorrow. Very, very exciting, though, to see that they put up a 282 this afternoon. So I know Coach Smith and the guys are, they're chomping at the bit to keep this thing going in the right direction, and they're definitely doing it the right way. They just got to get everything rolling in the right direction. Ben Sigel from, I think he went to, was it Minnetonka High School? He is in 11th place. I think he might be even a member at Winsong. I know he's from the west side. He plays at Kansas, and he's in 11th place. So got to be kind of fun for him.
Ben went to Minnetonka. I believe he's a Winsong member, former Minnetonka member. I watched this kid play up. I mean, wow. Ben Siegel, this kid is really, really, really good.
Jack Ebner, also a member at Winsong, plays at Miami of Ohio. I believe he did a gap year. And
just saw his father Phil on Saturday at the Miami of Ohio tailgate for the Gopher football game.
Well, that's right. Funny. Yeah, it's crazy. And Phil, obviously, a Gopher. So Jackson, 11th place at 2 under.
Shout out to Jack's brother, too, Philly, also qualified for the National PGA Junior League All-Star team from the state of Minnesota.
How old is he?
He is 13.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. No, it's cool to see all the talent at this event and all of the young up-and-coming players. So a lot of good stuff happening there. And I believe we have the Gopher Women's Invite is, I want to say, this weekend at the Royal. So a lot of stuff happening in golf, and we've got a lot of good things going on there. So love seeing the Gopher Invite and the Minnesota Classic happening here. Just a couple great events, and get a variety of players playing here locally. So before we go, we do want to talk about some local businesses we supported this week. So I was up north this week. I went to Giants Ridge and played the Quarry and the Legend. A couple of great golf courses if you haven't played them. And then we went over to the Wilderness at Fortune Bay, another great golf course. So if you haven't made that trip, please make it. But we're there in Biwabik on Wednesday night. There's not a ton of food options. So we talked to our wonderful host, the sales manager at Giants Ridge, Katie Flanagan, and she recommended Poor Gary's Pizza in Bowabic. Poor Gary's Pizza, not only is this place local, they have the best service I've ever seen. We ordered 10 pizzas, and they asked us what room number we were in. And I go, what do you mean room number? You're just going to bring them to the lodge? He goes, no, we'll bring them to your room. They literally drive, they make the pizzas, they drive all the way up to the resort, they come into the resort, they go up to your room and deliver them, and then he comes out into the room and he goes, just give me a big table, please, and I'll just put them all down. Puts all the pizzas down on the table. Like, gluttony at its finest, right? Like, you're literally going to just come serve me on the buffet line. I mean, it was unbelievable, the service of this place. And he said, he goes, it was a Wednesday night. We've been really quiet. We really appreciate your business. You guys made our day. Which, that is the whole point of why we do this, right? That's why we talk about local businesses. So next time you're at Giants or Wilderness, Poor Gary's Pizza, wonderful, old school, greasy, square, thin crust. I mean, the best pizza you can have. Pairs quite well with a Corona Premier or a glass of red or whatever you're feeling that night. But some really good, classic thin crust pizza. Poor Gary's in Bowabic.
So, Brad, let's go pizza route here. Does it get better than a thin crust, hand tossed, New York style? You get some squares. Let's rip the crust away from this. Let's let the grease just drip off onto my hand. Napkin can't even handle it.
Right? It's as simple as it gets, but I want a sausage, a pepperoni, one of each, and you have a plate full. You grab a couple slices of sausage, you grab a couple slices of pepperoni. If it's not greasy, if it's not squares, I don't want, pizza is such a different experience. Like, you start talking about wood-fired and stuffed crust and thin crust and thick crust and all this stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm all in on stuffed crust. Like, stuffed crust is quite an experience, but it's different, right? And my stomach will let me know from the extra cheese intake afterwards how that went down. But you get that thin crust, cut in squares. Like, when I feel like such a boss when I house like 30 squares of pizza. I'm just like, oh, I'm the man. And I realize I only ate half the pizza. It's even better. But
that's because you and I just want to go back to Gary's Pizza in Mankato.
So the joke was, one of my good buddies from college was on the trip, and we grew up. I mean, we literally were at Gary's all the time because his roommates all worked there, right? And so we joked that
they work there.
Oh yeah,
there's
the freshman 15 was per month.
Right.
The joke was that Gary's in Mankato was Rich Gary's, and this is Poor Gary's buddy up in Bowabic. But it was it just reminded me so much of Gary's. It was just, everybody was just so. And as soon as I finished my 36 square, I said, man, this has got to be my local business of the week. So if you go to Bowabic or you're heading up north, check it out. Poor Gary's Pizza. They're open every night. They're usually only open till 9 though. So you got to make sure you get that order in early. But they deliver anywhere you want. Just a really good experience. And again, Giants Ridge and Wilderness at Fortune Bay. If you don't enjoy it, please give me a shout or shoot us an email, and we can talk about what you didn't like, because everybody loves those places. Really, really fun tracks. Brandy, anyone local you supported this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little opposite side of the spectrum on that one. So it was my wife's 39th birthday again yesterday.
That's awesome. Forever young.
It's forever young, and we went to Cove and Wayzata.
Nice.
We got to hit up JJ Hill days, so didn't know this. We got to see the fireworks and everything, but we've been to Cove several times now, and Cove is just awesome. I mean, they don't take reservations, so you might have to wait a little bit, but they've got a robust menu. Their food is awesome. The calamari French, I think they call them French fry sticks, might be the best calamari I've had. And I typically get calamari everywhere I go in the metro for an appetizer. It was amazing. I had the walleye. It was amazing. I believe my wife had halibut, salmon. I don't remember. Some other fish. Wine was great. Atmosphere is great. It's out in the patio fields. Cove and Wayzata. If you have not been there, this is an awesome place. And you will probably run into some golfer that you know.
More than likely. Did you see the Bad Rooster food truck while you were there? Because I know they were slinging some chicken there. That's my jam.
No, I didn't, but we didn't actually get the so I had no idea that it was like the JJ Hill thing, so we didn't get a chance to walk like the line and like truthfully even take an Uber. I had to walk a few minutes because we just had no clue that this parade was going on and this that all of Lake Street was basically shut down. But it was busy. It was awesome. It reminded me of, not that we're back there, but what normal kind of is. And that was very refreshing to see.
Yeah, normal's a cool word. It's a moving target,
right.
but it sure sounds like a nice word, and we're all hoping for normal at some point. No, that's a cool experience. Vyzeta's got a really good vibe, so that's awesome. We love our local businesses, and we support them as much as we can, and it's great to see those places doing well. Cove is a very cool place, so. Yeah, we can't thank each other enough for being our guests tonight, and
love it.
We might go stag for a couple weeks here, just the two of us, just rekindling, just getting back to 101. Just but
big air hug, Brad.
You know it. So we want to thank each other as our guests this week, and thank our sponsors: Jarrett Yalen with Northwestern Mutual. PXG, Parsons Extreme Golf, the Meadows at Mystic Lake, still open for a few more weeks here if you want to get around in this fall, and Corona Premier, serving ice cold beer throughout the fall. You can connect with us as always via email at 10kswings@scorenorth.com. Please subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Score North, and give us a 5-star rating. For episode 30, we will preview the Ryder Cup even more and recap the Fortinet Championship. Not to be confused with Fortnite, the Fortinet Championship. And when I first saw that, I'm like, oh, is that Fortinet? No, it's Fortinet. I'm pretty sure because it's cybersecurity, so Fortinet on the internet. I believe that's how it all goes down. But we've got a lot of golf talk still happening here in September, and it looks like it based on the schedule. We're going to have a lot of golf talk till we're back in Hawaii in January. So here we go. Brace yourselves, folks. We've got a lot of time to talk about more golf. And if you have any upcoming ideas for any shows or any topics you'd love to hear us break down, please email us at 10kswings@scorenorth.com. Until next week, friends, I'm Brad Cole.
I'm David Branstad.
Cheers.